and thoughts so far on it?
It's disgusting, I think, is the politest way to put it. We're live on a podcast on a channel where kids might be watching, so I'm going to refrain from using language that I think applies to these 6 football clubs. Certainly in England, I'm not going to concentrate on too much on the foreign sides. That doesn't affect us per se, but I just think it's borderline criminal what they're doing. For me, the interest started to go in. We're on the third tier podcast for a reason, because we all follow third tier sides, and we all understand that there's more of a community feel and a connectivity with us and our football clubs that you don't get up in the Premier League. Obviously, you two have supported clubs that have played in the Premier League. I've not had that privilege, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure it is a privilege anymore, to be quite frank, but just seeing the comments that have come out from some directors today saying that yes, it is for a money purpose, and the long-term protection of football in England is a secondary concern. It's just scummy. It's snaky. I get that this announcement was made prime time over in America, but the fact that it come out around midnight in England, which is the country that it's affecting the most, I thought, for me, it just didn't sit right. And I know Gary Neville's been very vocal, and it's interesting how he's involved, because obviously he has the thing with Salford, but I think he's spoken very well from what I've seen. But for me, my interest in the top flight is minimal at best now. It was less than it ever was when VAR came in. I don't like that. It's ruining the game. The old adage of "it's not broken, don't fix it." Why are we trying to tweak the game that we've loved and enjoyed? And it's given us something to talk about on a Sunday or a Monday or a Tuesday at work, in the pubs, on a building site, whatever we're doing during the week. If you get done by an offside call, you can go and moan about it to your mates. But all we've done with VAR is we've moved it away from the referee on the pitch and given that power to someone in a truck 500 miles away. Don't get it. It was advertised firstly as minimal intrusion, maximum impact. It was only going to affect majorly wrong decisions. It's just ruining the game. It's taken the emotion out of it. So to then have this on top of it, nah, it's not for me anymore. My dad's a Tottenham fan, and I've always looked out for Tottenham's results on that basis. But I stood in the away end when Gills went to White Hart Lane a few seasons ago, before anyone questions whether I'm a 2-club person and that type of thing. I'm not. But I've always looked out for their results. But for me, them 6 clubs, they don't exist anymore. They're ruining English football. They could ruin it further down the pyramid in the longer term. And it's not the game I was brought up on. I'm nearly 40. For me, I was brought up on Manchester United, Liverpool, Everton. I know they're not one of the 6, but in the 80s, the early 90s, FA Cup Day was the biggest thing in the world for a 10-year-old. You was allowed to watch the football all day. It was grandstand. It started at 10. The game was at 3. There was all the build-up. There was the ceremony afterwards. Greatest day if you're a 10, 11, 12-year-old watching football before the days of Sky. And let's not make any bones about this. Sky ruined this football 1992 effectively, when they brought the Premier League in, and for all the good that it's done a lot bad as well. You can't go to a football match now for less than 25, 35 quid in the top flight, whereas before it was probably about £10 a ticket. You can't buy a football kit now for less than 75, 85 quid. You're looking at over £100 if you want to get your kid's name printed on it on the back or whatever. It's everything that's wrong with the modern game. But sadly, it looks like this time it is real. It's not just another token threat to gain leverage in other things that they want. So if they want to do it, do we let them do it and just say to them, you're done in terms of the Premier League, the FA Cup, the League Cup, the Champions League, Europa League, and whatever? I'm not sure. But for me, it's not the football that I grew up watching, because those teams were where my heroes came from as a kid, because I wasn't old enough to go and watch Gillingham or Blackpool or Swindon or with my mates when I was that young. So you had to rely on what was on the telly. And there wasn't a lot, and then it was more of a privilege and more exciting because it didn't come around all the time. We're so saturated with it now that half the time I think you find yourself switching off from some of it, because you've got A-League in the morning, you've got Bundesliga at 2:30, you've got Premier League at 12:30, Premier League at 5:30, 7:15, and that's great because of COVID, and it helps us out that we can watch more games. But this was probably the final nail in the coffin for me in terms of the Premier League, and there's got to be something that protects the players, because they've had no say in this. I know Jurgen Klopp's come out tonight on Monday Night Football and said he's had no say in it. So what do his players do? They're being threatened with they can't represent their country if their team's playing in this competition. Well, there must be something that protects them. There must be some employment law. I'm no expert, but the whole thing just stinks, absolutely stinks of greed and corruption and everything that's wrong with football. But sadly, it's probably not something that's entirely unexpected anymore, is it? Such as the money that's at the top level of the game.
Wow.